Hi, I'm going to read to you the story Caps for Sale. This is one of our very favorite stories to read because after we read it, we always get to role play the story, and that is always a lot of fun. And Miss McFadin role played it on another video that I'm going to share with you, so I want you to try to role play it too. When you watch me retell the story, I want you to look for a couple of things that happened. I call those mishaps. Things that happened that weren't supposed to happen. And instead of starting the video over, I just let them happen and thought, I wonder if you can catch what silly thing happened while I was telling the story. I'm going to see if you have really good eyes and are really looking. But for right now, before you role play it at home, your family needs to know the story so they can role play it with you. Because when you role play it, you're going to need a peddler. You're going to need some monkeys. I didn't have monkeys, so I used animals, but you need something, and you're going to need some hats. So you really need to know what the story is all about before you can role play it. So I'm going to read it now, and then you role play it at home. Are you ready? It's called Caps for Sale, a tale of a peddler, some monkeys, and their monkey business. And the author and illustrator is Esphyr Slobodkina. And I probably didn't pronounce that right, and I am so sorry. So I'm going to hold it up close so you can see who the author is. Now, my first question is, caps. What are caps? Did you know caps is another word for hat? It is. Caps is another name for hats. So when it says caps for sale, the author could have said hats for sale. But he decided to use the word caps instead. And what is a peddler? Is a peddler somebody who climbs a tree? No. A peddler is somebody who sells something, who sells their wares. And oh my goodness, that's another hard word. A peddler, somebody who sells something, and a ware, when he sells his wares, that is the things he is selling. Now, this peddler is selling caps. But if you were selling cookies, then your ware would be cookies. It depends on what you are selling. So let's open the book. Here's the end papers. The author and illustrator, he didn't give us much information, just the title, Caps for Sale. But here's the title page. Oh, there's a lot more information on this page. I see the peddler. Look at all those hats. He's got them on top of his head. And here's the street he's walking on and the town. The town is a place with a lot of houses. And the title, of course, Caps for Sale. And he has a dedication. The author wrote this book for Rosalind and Emmy Jean, and to their grandfather who loves to read to them. What a nice thing to do. And here's that peddler again, and he has his caps on his head. Once upon a time, there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares. Remember that word, wares, something you sell? He was not carrying them on his back. Instead, he carried them on top of his head. First, he had his own checked cap, and then he had a bunch of brown caps, and then some tan caps, and then some green caps, and on the very top were some red caps. He walked up and down the street, holding himself very straight so not to upset his caps. Ooh, upset his caps. Are his caps going to cry? No. In this book, upset means he doesn't want them to fall off his head. So he's being very careful so his caps don't fall down. As he went along, he called, caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap. One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up and down the street, and he walked down the street calling, caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap. But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody even wanted a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch because he didn't sell any of his caps. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," he said. And he walked out of town slowly, slowly, not to upset his caps. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place to rest," thought he. And he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up his hand to feel if they were all straight. First he checked his checked cap, and then the brown cap, and then the tan caps, and then the green caps, and then the red caps on the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep, and he slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested, and he stretched. Do you notice what's missing? He noticed this too. Look, he put his hand up there. Before standing up, he felt his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. He looked to the right of him. No caps. He looked to the left of him. No caps. He looked in back of him. No caps. He looked behind the tree. No caps. Then he looked up in the tree. What do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey, and on every monkey was a brown cap, a gray cap, a blue cap, and a red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. He said, "You monkeys, you," shaking a finger at them, "you give me my caps." But the monkeys only shook their finger back at him and said, "Ch, ch, 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 ch." This made the peddler angry. So then he shook both hands at him and he said, "You monkeys, you, give me back my caps." But the monkey only shook both their hands back at him and said, "Ch, ch, 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 ch." You have to do two hands. I'm holding the book, so I can only do one. Now he felt quite angry, and he stamped his foot and he said, "You monkeys, you, give me my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet, looked back at him and said, "Ch, ch, 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 ch." By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "Ch, ch, 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 ch." At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap and he threw it on the ground. And he began to walk away. But then each monkey pulled off his cap. What do you think they're going to do with him? You're right. They threw him on the ground too. All the brown caps, all the tan caps, all the green caps, and all the red caps came flying out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First his own checkered cap, then the brown caps, and then the tan caps, and then the green caps, and then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." The end. Now, when we role play this at school, he goes back to the townspeople, and the townspeople wouldn't buy any, but at school, when we role play it, the townspeople all buy a cap for him. So guess what? He gets to go home and buy supper. The end. Have fun acting out this story. It's a fun story to do. Bye.